57 to 60% of our general operating fund goes for public safety. That's an issue that we should be addressing. Now, I go back to what Ken said earlier about the dual response and whether our residents feel that's necessary, and I think that's a really important component of this, any discussion that we're going to have. We have to, there's no question that firemen have a particular job to do, which is to put out fires, and we're talking about primarily fire situations right now, and I do believe that the cooperation exists, particularly down at the southern end of Volusia County, between the cities that Ken mentioned. I think the expense and the duplication and the dual response comes when we have the medical response, I think, is where the duplication is. That's something that I feel we should really look at. Whether, you know, I look at the EVAC situation now. EVAC is a nonprofit organization. They worked for many years as a pretty much a wash, no cost to the residents. And the last couple of years, I guess, medical costs have gone up, and I guess they're supplemented, I'm not sure, $3 million or something like that, $3 million. And it comes out to roughly $7 per person in Volusia County that they pay, okay? And I think their expenses are much, much less than to have firemen responding to medical calls. And I think that's really where an issue that we should really be discussing, and I don't hear that being discussed too much here tonight, is whether or not do we want fire responding to medical calls, or do we want fire responding to fire calls? If we want just medical personnel from EVAC or whomever or whatever responding to medical calls, maybe we need more EVAC personnel at other places. I know it was mentioned at one time that if we take over our ambulance service, it could be a profit for the city of Port Orange. Well, I don't see medical issues as a profit type of margin. That's not something that I would feel comfortable making money on people having medical issues. That's just me personally, okay? So I don't really, you know, support us making money by transporting people. I just don't see that.
Not much money in it anyway.
There's not much money in it anyway, so I don't support that. I think where the issue is, for me personally, is that duplication of services. You know, we have...
part of the other studies.
Yeah, we have, again, maybe the way the system's set up right now is we have fire responding to what, 75% of the calls or 90% of the calls from the fire department are medically related?
About roughly 83%.
Okay, 83%, so I was in that margin. And so maybe we need more medical people instead of firemen responding to these calls. I think, you know, that's, to me, we're looking at a cost-saving measure right there. You know, whether somebody wants to address that or we'll go into that. You know, is it fire going to fire, or is it fire going to medical, or do we need to do, you know, do we need people doing both jobs? I'm not too sure. To me, that's a duplication right there. And yeah, the firemen do get there quicker. But, you know, maybe there's a methodology that we can do that something could occur to have medical people responding to these things for medical issues. Fire, you know, takes care of fire. That makes sense. Medical takes care of medical. So, I wanted to address the LOS standards. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Do we need an A? Does it have to be an A, or is that kind of the Cadillac, and whereas a B level of service in the B category would be certainly sufficient? And what's the cost savings with that?
Okay, I think that's the, okay, it's the discussion of advanced life support or basic life support. Okay, not all jurisdictions within Volusia County provide advanced life support. Okay, all the east side cities provide advanced life support. So I think that, you know, if you begin to think about the levels of service and what our residents have come to expect, I think that is what that's the expectation of level of service. And, you know, we can look at the statistical data and you can do all of that type of stuff, but at the end of the day, is when we get there do we have the right people on the scene to handle the call that is there? And do we have the right equipment there? Now, we've had a discussion about protocols. And I know that our fire department's been working with the medical director on trying to get some protocol changes done so that the right unit is dispatched. And I think that's one of the real key issues. If we really are talking about closest unit dispatching and the closest unit use and all of that type of thing, in today's type of environment, you know, if an evac unit is located closer, send the evac unit. If it's that type of call, okay. If it's a call that should be handled by a fire rescue department, send that unit. And right now, our protocols really are kind of doesn't allow us to go down into that differential as like it should, so that we can so that the dispatchers can ask the right set of questions under the medical director's guidance, and I know the fire chiefs have supported that, and then make sure that we're sending the right types of units and right types of people. You know, I constantly get the calls, why do we have any one call that are out there? It may be that is the right component of people that are sitting there. And in some cases it may not be. But the general public driving by doesn't know that. But if we're saying that our goal is to make sure we got the right equipment and the right people, and we do the right things, I think the public really supports that. I've never heard them say, I don't want, you know, not to have the right units and the right people and all that there. But so I think that that's kind of where we're, you know, kind of coming from, is that it's got to be protocol changes, the possibility of service delivery changes. In reality, you know, is looking at a new model.
Restructure our process.
Okay, and if you really are looking at the model, you got to think about what is it that we're going to do. But at the end of the day, I would argue that advanced life support, we've done a great job of selling advanced life support. And it would be very, very difficult for any community to move away from the advanced life support model within the fire rescue service. And I'm not necessarily sure that that is the best road to go, even though there would be some savings in doing that. But would it be the right savings for the community? And I think there are other types of things that we need to be looking at, you know, from that particular model. Just my opinion from a manager standpoint. It's kind of interesting. I remember Alan saying one night to somebody that talked about how many people were on the scene, and he said, well, let me just put it this way. If we're responding to you, we probably had too many people on the scene, but if you're coming to my house, we didn't have enough.
Mary?
Oh, you good for
Yes,
that?
sir.
Mary?
Yeah. You know, there's